Germans sell babies' bodies, food to only cool Americans, and throw up for dogs to eat? Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby and sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. A few months ago, I made a video where I covered the challenges that I faced with understanding the subtle nuances to the German language, and I had a lot of comments from Germans agreeing they had the same problems when it comes to speaking English. However, a classic joke us native English speakers in Germany make about Germans is how you will ask them if they speak English, they'll always respond by saying something like, a little, and then they speak with incredible fluency. And in fact, according to Education First in 2021 of non-native English speaking countries, Germany ranked 10th in Europe with their English proficiency and was labeled as being a nation with very high proficiency. But today, I want to share with you all a special secret photo album I had been keeping on my phone and adding to for the last 3 years of funny signs, packaging, or other things in which there is a total breakdown between English and German speakers, and where our knowledge of, or lack of knowledge, of our two languages causes a failure to communicate. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in our video. This one's got it all, including capital bra. All right, we're gonna start out with something that was one of our very first false friends whenever we moved to Germany. That was kind of shocking with the German language and English. So I'm gonna show you the picture here and a sign. I'm gonna cover up part of it because I want you to see, do you know immediately what this sign is selling? Of course, both of these words are English words, except the second word is spelled technically incorrectly if you're speaking English. To an American looking at this sign, it looks like they're selling like the torsos of baby bodies. Of course, obviously, we didn't see that and think, oh, I bet you this store is selling torsos of baby bodies. It actually is talking about, I guess, what we would call in English a onesie. But anyways, baby bodies, something that sounded very startling when we first saw it until we now know it's just baby clothing, not their torsos. So one thing that we came across on a walk one time is the second picture. And something that you will see very commonly in Germany are these structures that have little baggies that you're supposed to pull out one for your dog. So if we zoom in on this, we'll see what was so funny about this when we saw it. So you'll see the German Hunde-Kottüten, but in English, dog dirt bags. So this, I think, is a classic example of somebody who didn't know what these were exactly called in English, and so maybe they use a Google translator and this was the translation they got out of it, but we definitely would never call that a dog dirt bag in English. And in fact, what we would call it is a dog, well, not a doggy bag either, because doggy bag is actually kind of a alternative way of saying a to-go box in a restaurant. We just call these, I guess, like dog poop bags or poop bags. But also a dirt bag in English is an offensive term that you could call somebody that you think is maybe sleazy or doing something wrong. You would say, oh, you're just a dirt bag. So this next one that I found was actually found on a trip to Berlin when we were meeting some friends, and they took us over to Potsdam, but there's a very popular restaurant there that we came across that we didn't know about at the time, but it was just kind of shocking when suddenly we saw it, and it was this restaurant. And of course, I think it's immediate why this is kind of funny to Americans when we see this, der Butt, which doesn't sound like a very tasty restaurant when you first are reading that and you see that as the butt. But I did some research and I finally figured out what I guess this word would be in English would be flounder. And so this is, as you can see below it, a fish restaurant. But I would be interested in knowing for like Germans, when you see that, since most Germans are fairly proficient in English as we've already established, do you see that and you immediately think in your own language, ah yes, der Butt, the fish in the sea? Or do you think der Butt as in a butt in English? And that's kind of comical and that's why they named it that. Let me know in the comments what you think. And sticking to der Butt, I don't know why anybody would ever name this package Big Black Buns. And Germans are pretty literal, and this does literally describe what they are. Why wouldn't they do like groß schwarze Brötchen or something like that? Why wouldn't they name it just the German words? To an English speaker, you don't look at that and think, these are big black hamburger buns. Buns has the same connotation as your rear end cheeks, and calling them big black buns is referring to a specific type of rear end. Did they name this on purpose because they knew the connotation in English of what this sounds like? Or did they do this completely without realizing the connotation in English of what this kind of feels like and sounds like? Typically in the US, when you have a product like this, I'm assuming this is like charcoal infused buns or bread. In the US, it would probably have something like that. It would point out these are charcoal buns, or they would explain why are these black. But just choosing to put the name in English definitely has some weird connotations to that when you see that. You know, some of these funny mistakes or misunderstandings could be avoided if someone would just simply use this video sponsor, Rosetta Stone. Like if someone took a Rosetta Stone class, they would maybe know, hey, I learned this word means something else in this other language that is repulsive, and maybe we should pick a different name. Rosetta Stone is great because it is a language learning app that is unique in that you learn through immersion and association rather than just boring old flashcards and translating. I have used many different methods to learn German, but just like I'm doing here in this video, I have seen that I learn so much more naturally by looking at a picture and then associating it with a sound or word in our target language, just like we did as children learning our native language. With Rosetta Stone, you can learn anytime, any place, and at any skill level on your desktop, phone, or tablet. Of course, I wouldn't be telling you about them unless I truly thought Rosetta Stone could save our viewers from making embarrassing language mistakes or misunderstandings like we are looking at in this video. So I'm happy to tell you that if you use the link in our description, you can check out all of Rosetta Stone's subscription models, but more importantly, you can get their lifetime subscription worth 349 euros, 50% off, and for only 174 euros and 50 cents. This is in our local grocery store, and I'm pretty sure this is a pretty big brand across Germany. However, one thing that I always find so funny about this is the name Barf in one, because barf is the kind of like the slang term, I guess you could say, for throw up. So if you're sick and you spew all of your food out of your mouth, that what came out would be called barf. And they're selling this as dog food. I feel almost bad serving my dog barf. So I want to know though, maybe you guys understand what this is implying. Is this like in one language, the way you make an animal noise is not the same way that another language makes an animal noise? So for example, like in English for a dog, we would say bark, bark, bark. But what about in German? Do they say barf, barf? Is that why it's barf in one? One thing here that we find really funny every time that we wash our face is our face wash bottle. Anti-pickle, which to an English speaker, it's like, what do you mean anti-pickle? What do you have against pickles? And what we're talking about would be in German Gherkin. You just imagine like all of these green pickles all over your face that you're scrubbing off. But actually, pickle would refer to pimples. And so this is saying that it will remove the oil and the grease that would eventually lead to pimples, not Gherkin. One of the biggest things that Americans I think miss, well, not all Americans, but me as an American, definitely I do miss this, ranch salad dressing. And one of the most popular Doritos flavors in the US is Cool Ranch. And this is a flavor that you don't normally find in Germany, but one time I was in the grocery store and I found this. This is exactly what Cool Ranch Doritos look like in the US, but I'm assuming because there is no ranch dressing in Germany, they wouldn't put it on the packaging because it doesn't really make sense. So they changed the name to Cool American, which almost seems like it's like exclusive for just cool Americans to eat, or I don't know, this is just what cool Americans like to eat. And it says sour cream Geschmack, which means sour cream flavor, and I honestly don't think that ranch tastes like sour cream. So I wonder if that was just the best way they could describe the flavor to Germans, was that it's kind of sour creamish, but I don't know that that really gets it across. But Cool American, that just seems like a weirdly exclusive name for what in the US would be called Cool Ranch, as in ranch dressing. Real fast, guys, I want to put this on pause just to thank all of our patrons over on Patreon for supporting our channel. And if you guys want to know different ways that you can support our channel, I will leave a link in the description to our Patreon page. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, it would go a really, really long way in supporting our channel. And I would really appreciate you guys doing that. But with that being said, back to the funny pictures. Now this next one is something that I found on a walk near a lake, fried fish. But I don't think you're actually gonna find fried fish. It's not like a fish and chips where you can just like throw a reel out and just pull in an already fried fish. But in this sense, it is German fried Fische, which kind of translates to like peaceful fish. And in this instance, they're actually talking about fish that don't eat other fish, which kind of makes it funny that I guess this looks like you're gonna fry them up and eat them, even though they're, I guess, pacifished. This next one is a poster for an event, and this is very, very subtle. It really technically is right, but again, it's one of those that with like out the context, when you're reading this in English, it's just funny like where our brains go based on what we're used to seeing. But it's this sign right here. They had an English translation sign, 4 signs that they also had in German. And at the very bottom, you can see where it says, today we have knuckle. Now, if I pop over real quick and show you what the German sign said, you can see at the bottom, it says, heute gibt es Haxen. And I would love to know from our Germans what that sounds like to you. Does that sound like a completely just normal statement or sentence? Because whenever I've seen this, it's always been connected with Schwein. So Schweinhaxe or pork knuckle, which is the exact same way that you would typically see it in English in my experience. You would always see pork knuckle. You would never just say knuckle. I think whenever I read just knuckle, it's like initially I think of like the knuckles on a human hand or something like that. I don't think of an animal knuckle. And so in this instance, it's almost like we have knuckles, like what, bare knuckle boxing? Do you have, what kind of knuckle? It's just like for a split second, I stop and I kind of think about like, what are you talking about? The only reason why I immediately knew what they were saying was because I do know Schweinhaxe is a very popular German dish that we love and we get in our area quite often, but just initially kind of threw me off a little bit. This next one is one that honestly took me quite a bit of research to finally figure out what this is talking about. But when I first walked into our local Globus grocery store and I found a huge display serving bra tea, or in English, I would just read it as bra tea, which is double confusing because one, I see the picture of the drink on the sign and I know they're talking about some kind of drink and I know Tee means tea in German. But when I first see bra tea, of course my brain still first thinks in English most of the time. So I read that first one as bra, which of course is part of women's underwear, and tea is actually the little wooden piece that you use on a golf course that you set your golf ball on when you're about to tee off and hit the ball. So just that combination of a women's underwear item and a golf equipment together is just a weird combination of words. So of course my first thought was, why in the heck did they name it bra? This is actually made by Capital Bra, being a German rapper and celebrity who is not known in the US at all. So I had no idea and my brain did not make that initial connection. Oh, this might be Capital Bra. But then I had to figure out, so why is it Capital Bra? Is that makes more sense that it'd be a shock value thing for a rapper to be capital than like a women's clothing item. It's like this rapper goes and collects a lot of women's underwear. But what I finally figured out that Capital Bra was born in Russia and bra is short for the Russian word for brother. And that is where bra comes from in his name, which thus becomes bra tea whenever he creates tea. To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is Star Trek or Star Wars? Which is the superior intergalactic series? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you in our next video. So this next one is one that I found for this next one is a poster for an event that was in our. It's something that you will see very commonly in Germany are these structures that have little of funny signs, packaging, and other things